We've received quite a bit of interest in my free to be workshop, so to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop, and we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. One of the driving features of narcissism is the need to be in control. Narcissists have decided that they have got to get their loose ends tied down. They want to make sure that you think the right way, which happens to be what they say. And as a result, they respond to some of the differences or some of the unusual circumstances that might be there in front of them between you and them with an attitude of certainty. It's like, look, let me tell you how things are supposed to be. And let me explain to you what you're supposed to feel and how you have to think and what your priorities need to be. And they can come on in such a strong and superimposing kind of way. And you're thinking, whoa, pull back, slow down. Who appointed you as being the ultimate keeper of truth? And of course, if they were honest, the answer would be me. I did. Let's recognize that there is so much in this world that you and I cannot be certain about. There is much mystery in our life. There's much complexity. Frankly, there's a lot of futility and many surprises. There are exceptions to whatever rules you want to come along with. Your IQ, no matter how high it might be, is limited. There's some things that you just can't figure out. And healthy individuals make room for that. Unhealthy individuals, though, say, well, I'll tell you what, I don't like having ambiguity. I don't like having vagueness in my life, and it scares them. And so it's like, I'm going to be the one person in this world that certainly knows how it's supposed to be, and it becomes my task to superimpose that upon anyone who's in front of me. Now, I want to see if we can just kind of pull way back and do a big picture kind of style of thinking here for a moment. There is so much about this life that we just simply cannot know and understand. Starting with, how did this creation even happen? We've got some ideas about it, but we can't say anything 100% definitively on that one. Or we can say, why this planet that we're on? Is there something else out there that we don't know about? Why is it that this planet is so different and so unique? And then we can ask, is there existence beyond where we are now? Is there existence beyond this life that we have now? If so, in what form? And how do we know that that can be the case? Or we can bring it down a little bit. We can say, what is it about humans that causes us to have such an emphasis on things like love and kindness and respect? Where did that come from? It's not nearly as prominent inside the animal kingdom, and then in the plant life and all the rest, it doesn't even exist there. Why is it that us humans have those kind of notions that we gravitate towards and that are so important? Why is it that some people can grasp love and other people just simply don't know how to do it at all? What is it about people that make us predictable? Why are we so easily predictable? Or we can ask the opposite question: what is it about people that are that's so unpredictable? Why are some folks just impossible to tie down? Why does evil exist? Whether it's evil inside certain systems, whether it's political systems or economic systems or religious systems or family systems, and then why are individuals inclined toward evil? Why is it that two people can grow up in the same family with the same subcultural influences and develop so differently as the years go by? What does it mean to be responsible? Why is it that some people seem to have good insight capability and some never do seem to have good insight capability? Do you understand where I'm going with this? There are certain questions that are just simply not answerable. There are some questions that are very uncomfortable. And when we approach life with that, then what we do is we often yearn for order. And this is where that need for control comes in. We yearn for someone to come along and say, this is how it's supposed to be. These are the definitive answers. And the narcissist will come along and say, well, good thing is you have me here. I'm going to tell you how things ought to be. And I'm going to explain to you. I may not be able to talk to you about quantum physics, and I may not be able to talk to you about, economic systems and all. But there's a whole lot that I know. And when you're in my presence, I'm going to give you as much of my certainty as I can. And these people can be bossy and stubborn and all. What's going on? See, narcissists will gravitate toward authoritarian thinking because it gives them a feeling of comfort when compared to the uncertainties that are in front of them. And then as they gravitate toward authoritarian thinking, then they insist that you have to comply with the conclusions that they've drawn. They fear their own weakness. They fear confusion. They had way too much of that growing up. They don't know who they can trust. They don't know how things are going to unfold if they just kind of leave it alone and allow people to be what they are. Ambiguity scares them. Vagueness scares them. Inconsistencies scare them. They don't know what to do. And as a result, they develop a very strong, critical, judgmental mindset. It's like, look, I've already decided here's what makes me feel comfortable and here's what my certainties are, and you're not doing it the right way. They build a shell of defensiveness around themselves because when you come along and say, well, I don't think that way, or I have different ideas and thoughts, it's like, but I have to have certainty. And then when they say, and here's what it has to be, and then you say, but I don't think that way, rather than saying, well, why don't we just put our heads together and let's figure it out together and let's make room for the fact that there are differences. Like, no, I can't do that. Uncertainty scares me. They then will appoint themselves as a very important person. They appoint themselves as the necessary individual to keep people straightened out. At least if you're going to be inside their little sphere of influence, they're the ones who's allowed to set the standards. In fact, they become the gold standard, the keeper of truth. And as a result, they can become pushy and imposing with those standards, with that agenda. And then they're truly surprised when you come along and say, but I don't think the same as you. I have ideas that would be a bit different. And it's like, but I have to know. I want to take all of the uncertainty and the vagueness in my life, and I want to bring it down into my tight little comfort box here. And I need to keep you inside of that. And as a result, there are all sorts of emotional, ruinous emotional responses that they will have and they'll generate in other individuals. And predictably, relationships will fall apart because that need for certainty and that need to get rid of all of the unanswerable questions out there is so strong in that narcissist that they've decided, but I have to be the ultimate. I have to be the one that says, in this little pocket of the earth, I'm in charge and I've got to make sure that everything goes according to my mindset. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's a bad thing to want to have a certain amount of predictability. It's okay. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to want to have standards and to hold on to your opinions and your notions in ways that make sense to you. But what I am suggesting is you don't have to know everything. In fact, you never will. Go ahead and accept that. And it may be that there are topics that are extremely important to you, and yet you'll still never get it all completely figured out. There's much that we have in our life that simply remains unknown, and we can't tie all that down. Opinions and preferences are reasonable, but not definitive. Now, when I say that to certain individuals, it's like, well, then you just don't know what you're talking about, and they can't agree with the fact that there's certain principles and standards that are not 100% definitive because narcissists must be definitive. Reliability, predictability can certainly be useful. Defining your ways that make sense for you is good, and yet it's a 100% guarantee that no two people are ever going to draw the same conclusions about every set of circumstances. That's just the way it's set up, and we can ask the question, why? Why is it that way? And you'll get a whole lot of different answers, but the bottom line is there's just a certain amount of mystery that's a part of this world. There's a certain amount of vagueness, or there's a certain amount of diversity that's built into our experience here, and it's beyond arrogant for someone to step up and say, well, listen to me. I know everything about what needs to be known. At least when you hang out with me, I know. I'm certain. When somebody comes along and thinking that way, it's like, ooh, that is a scared person, and they're greatly threatened by the lack of certainty. So why don't we conclude here by saying it's necessary for us to make room for mystery and diversity and loose ends. And then let's take it a little bit further and recognize, and when we do acknowledge mystery and diversity and loose ends, it can set us up for other characteristics like curiosity and empathy and flexibility, because we know that if I think something, there's a good chance that you'll think differently. Let's learn from one another. Narcissists can't think that way. When they're challenged with the notion that says you need to drop that need to have everything tied down, and everybody has to be in total agreement with you, then you know that they're going to go straight towards a ruinous way of life. But accepting the fact that you cannot know everything and you cannot tie everything down, interestingly, becomes the beginning point for developing wisdom. And I'm hoping that that's something that we can be committed to. So I hope that videos such as this can give you some good food for thought and can prompt you to have a little fuller understanding of what you're dealing with that narcissistic individual and how you can respond in your own wise ways. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, we'll keep more, please do so, and we'll keep more videos coming in your direction. Just lost Gus on that one. Also, if you have a need for therapy, and I know many times when you're trying to deal with some of the frustrations that come along with that highly controlling person, it's good to have someone who could help you sift it out. You know, I've been sponsored for years now by the people at BetterHelp.com. There's a link below that will take you to their website, and all you have to do is fill out a few questions, and then they'll take you to a whole team of licensed professional therapists. And please get the assistance you need. If you go through our link below, you'll even get a 10% discount on the first month. In addition, I have my therapeutic courses, and each one of them is very extensive with multiple videos and written materials, guided questions. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers, ready, set, connect, about having good connection skills. We also have my webinars that have already been presented that you can purchase. We have our we have our podcast that's out there now, and it's been wonderful to have that. We also have our website with many articles, and then my books. There's plenty of resources for you. I'm certain that I'm not certain. And I'm certain that we're not going to know everything, and that's okay. It's built into our existence. Let's make room for that. And in doing so, I'm hoping that we can have a sense of balance and a sense of openness as we engage with one another. That's what we want to do here on Team Healthy. And if you can have good, healthy guiding principles that will carry you, even as you make room for a certain amount of diversity, I'm hoping that leads you to a place of steadiness, and ultimately it allows you to be one who's able to find peace.